Ever wonder what a 7-year-old thinks about free will or destiny? Well, you're about to find out, and the answer is probably way deeper than you'd expect. We're going to dive into some of life's biggest questions, all seen through the eyes of a group of young thinkers who used a simple snow globe as the perfect metaphor for, well, everything. Let's see what they came up with. Okay, so take a good look at this. It's its own little self-contained universe, isn't it? A perfect, beautiful, and still world. For the next few minutes, I want you to imagine that this globe is your world. Everything you know, everyone you love, all your hopes, all the rules, it's all trapped right here, inside this little glass sphere. So, let's start here, when all the snow has settled. This is life when it's calm, when it's orderly, when everything is predictable. It's a world that runs on clear rules and familiar feelings. The children who came up with this, by the way, are from Turkey, and they had a great word for it, normallik, or just normalcy.
And this is basically how they laid out that stable, normal world. It's a place of real joy, where the things we love get us excited. But it's also a place with structure. There are rules. You got to think before you act, you have to get permission from your parents, and you just have to accept that sometimes, life is doing the same things over and over. This is the bedrock of their, and let's be honest, our ordered little world.
It's peaceful, sure. It's structured, but we all know that's not the full picture, right? A snow globe is made to be shaken. So, what happens to our perfect little world when some outside force comes along and flips it completely upside down? And that brings us to the hand that does the shaking. The kids, they immediately knew what this was. They connected it to a really powerful idea: authority. That's the force that has control over our world, the one that can whip up a chaotic blizzard in an instant. Okay, and this is where their thinking gets really, really deep. They figured out that these shakeups aren't just things happening to us, like a parent making a new rule. No, they understood that we all have internal emotional shakes. Those moments of anger or confusion that totally disrupt our inner peace just as much as any external event. So who is this authority anyway? Who gets to shake the globe? When the kids were asked who decides our rights, their answers were all over the place, which is fascinating. For some, it was simple, our parents. For others, it was something bigger, like the state. But then you had this other group of kids arguing passionately that we determine our own rights. Like what we play at recess or what job we're going to get when we grow up. So when the children use that word authority, this is what they're getting at, the power to make the decisions and see them through. In our snow globe world, it's the hand that holds it and shakes it. And all this thinking led them straight to one of the biggest questions in all of political philosophy. And get this, it was posed by a 7-year-old. By what right does anyone determine another person's rights? What gives any person or any government the right to decide for someone else? Just let that one sit with you for a second. So, with that huge question hanging in the air, imagine the globe gets shaken hard. Snow is flying everywhere. It's total chaos. But it's also beautiful, isn't it? And for these young philosophers, this beautiful blizzard became the perfect stand-in for a very tricky idea: freedom. I mean, just look at these two views. On the one hand, this flurry of snow seems magical, totally liberating. It's like a beautiful dance of infinite possibilities. But on the other hand, it's a complete whiteout. You can't see anything. You don't know which way is up. And that, right there, that's the two-sided coin of freedom. And right here, they absolutely nailed a central paradox. One child says what we all feel deep down. Sometimes we might want to be free. But another one immediately comes back with a warning. Being completely free can be dangerous. Right there, they instinctively understood that constant tension between wanting liberty and needing security. And here's the kicker. Freedom, the one thing we all think we're striving for, can actually lead to unhappiness. Too much chaos, too much uncertainty, with no rules to guide you, well, it can be terrifying. It's an incredibly profound idea that just having endless choice with no structure isn't the key to being happy. All right, so what happens after the shaking finally stops? The blizzard starts to fade, and the snowflakes slowly, inevitably drift back down. This final part of our little metaphor gets us into the really big stuff: human effort and the nature of destiny itself. While that snow is swirling, we're in there. We're struggling. The kids call this chaba, which means effort. We're trying to get where we want to go, right? Trying to land on that one specific spot. We feel the ikki, the impact of all these forces just throwing us around. And eventually, we land where we land. We find a new normal lock, a new normal.
But after talking about all that struggling and trying, one child reached a really stark conclusion. Sometimes, all our efforts inside that blizzard are just useless. You can try to swim as hard as you want against the current, but the forces of the shaken world are what ultimately decide where you're going to land.
And that leads to a sobering thought, doesn't it? That despite all of our trying, all our chaba, life just doesn't always go the way we want it to. The world inside the globe settles according to its own laws, not necessarily according to the will of the tiny little figures inside.
And then came the one single question that pulls this entire thing together. All those little pieces you're placed among inside the globe, your environment, your family, your country, is that your ultimate fate? To put it another way, is geography destiny?
So we end up right back where we began, staring at this tiny world. If this really is your life, with its quiet moments, its chaotic blizzards of freedom, and the final quiet settling of fate, then it leaves you with one last question. Who or what is the hand holding it? And how much say do you really have once it starts to shake?